point with these tests is not to go further and try to get, the full score, but it's just to be honest with yourself. My name is Greg Chaplin. I'm a physical therapist and strength conditioning specialist. In this video, I'm going to cover 4 simple self-assessments that can be used when improving movement and posture. So if you like this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I upload a new video, and then leave me a comment below. Let me know what topics you want me to cover in an upcoming video. And after you watch this video, stay tuned for part 2, where I'm going to cover 4 or 5 tests that are complementary that will give you additional information and can guide your exercise selection. So let's face it, we all want to be able to perform self-assessments that we can use to gauge our progress in regards to our movement. So sometimes we're doing things that we think are good for us, but they might not actually be helping us. So having self-assessments is a super valuable and easy tool. So I'm going to go through these 4. Now just quickly, let's go through the concept behind this. So I'm taking these concepts from folks like Postural Restoration Institute, Zac Cupples, and Bill Hartman. So if you haven't checked those people out already, I do suggest that you do so. So when we're breathing, we have 2 phases. We have this exhalation phase where the rib cage and pelvis will compress, and we'll see ribs coming together, and we'll see a reduction in the expansion that we had during the inhalation phase. Then when we go to the inhalation phase, we're going to see this expansion both outwards but also front to back, and we're going to have an overall increase in volume. Now that's under normal circumstances. For many, if not most of us, we have a restriction on one or both sides of this coin. So we're going to look front to back here. Mainly people are getting compressed either more so in the front, more so in the back, or on both sides. So these tests are going to give you a rough idea of where your restriction is. So our first test, which is going to be looking more at the ability to expand this front side of the body, is just simply shoulder extension. So you can do this seated or standing. You're going to take your palm, you're going to face it down towards the ground, you're going to point your thumb down, you're going to start to reach behind, keeping your arm somewhat in close to the body, so not way out here. You're going to go as far as you can until you feel tension. And once you feel that tension, that's about as far as you can go. Now some cheats that you're going to see here is either the arm coming way out to the side, or you're going to see the shoulder dipping way forward. So I can get this arm all the way back here if I let the shoulder dip forward, but actually that's a compensatory way to get further into the test. So the point with these tests is not to go further and try to get, the full score, but it's just to be honest with yourself. When do you feel that first bit of tension that stops you from getting further into the test? So again, that shoulder extension, that's looking at the front side of the body. Now we're going to do shoulder flexion back to the wall, which is going to look at the back side of the body. And we're going to have a little distinction we do here. So we're going to set up with our back flat to the wall. We're going to keep that elbow in. Now the palm is facing towards the wall, and the fingertips are going to go back towards the wall. We're going to reach up, and we're going to try to touch the wall with the fingertips. Now, if bringing the arm to this 90-degree angle here is somewhat cumbersome, or you start to see the elbow go out towards the side early, what you're probably dealing with is more of a restriction at the level of the lower rib cage, which should be addressed first. Now, if you're able to get through that, no problem, and then you start to come up and you see this more as you get the arm further overhead, you're probably dealing not so much with the bottom here being as compressed or restricted, but more here up in the top, these upper kind of 4 to 6 ribs. So once again, we had shoulder extension, looking at the front side of the body. We had shoulder flexion, looking at that back side of the body. So if trouble getting to that 90, you're looking at compression down low. If you get through 90, no problem, but then you're starting to turn out or feel tension as you reach up towards the higher extremes of shoulder flexion, you're going to be looking at a restriction more here in the top. So now going to the lower body, we're going to use a hip flexion test. So we're going to be bringing this leg through flexion of the hip, and what we're looking for is, can we bring this knee down towards the chest and compress right to the chest. And the other thing we're going to be looking at during this test is on the opposite leg, does it lift up off the table? So this is going to tell us, do we have an ability to let go of this backside here with the flexed hip, but also can we let go on the front side here with the downside hip. So that's gonna look like this. So we're gonna let the legs lay flat. We're gonna pull this knee up towards the chest, and you're probably gonna see a little limitation here as I fully compress this knee down towards the chest. First of all, I can't, so this is gonna be a limitation in hip flexion, which means that the backside of this pelvis is somewhat compressed, and you're also going to see some lifting of this lower leg. So you can put a hand below this leg. That's going to indicate there's some compression on the front side or restriction on the front side of this right side hip. And then you could do the same thing on both sides, and I would consider that this is also a positive test on both sides there. So at the time that I'm doing these self-tests, there is some restriction on both sides there. Now the next test we're going to do is we're going to do a straight leg raise. So we're going to take that leg straight up, and this is going to be a test of if we have compression on the front side of the body, which I know is slightly counterintuitive, but essentially to get the hip into this position, it needs to be able to come into what is considered internal rotation of the hip to get up through this 90-degree zone here before again coming here. So if you can't get up to here with your straight leg raise, you're probably limited somewhat here on the front side of the body. So to perform this test, you're going to straighten out your leg. You're going to keep it nice and straight as you come up, and I get right to about that 89-degree mark here, so we would consider that to be somewhat normal. And then on this side, and it's maybe a little bit more limited, I would consider that to be a positive test. So once again, we had that knee to chest hip flexion, looking at both flexing on that side, being a restriction in the back. Also, if that other leg pops up, that's a restriction in the front. Then we looked at the straight leg raise. If we couldn't get to that full 80-90 degrees, then we probably have a little bit of restriction here on the front side of the body. So now we've done all those tests. What are we going to do about it? Well, we're going to pay attention in your feed to an upcoming video where we're going to work through some different test clusters, and if you have certain test clusters, what might be a good place to start, because not one of these tests in isolation is going to give you all the information you need. It's actually kind of putting these together and then developing a plan based on where your restrictions are. If you like this video, again, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, thanks a lot for watching, and peace.